so my name is Florence, as Isaac so kindly mentioned, and we are so happy to be here today, and I'm so happy to have Gayle here from HootSuite, Business Solutions Consultant. And today's session is on the social ecosystem. So essentially, the gist is we want to help you understand how all of the different social media platforms could help you together build a stronger presence online, a consistent one. Is there any echo on the mic? Is it okay, the echo? Seems okay. Okay, so I've been told to, of course, mention a few things and I don't want to forget, so I have a cheat sheet. I'm just gonna show you and wave it, so don't judge me. So the first thing is, there is a raffle draw. So when you all came in, you were given a color raffle ticket. So that's actually worth money. It's worth $100 Amazon gift card. You know, that place where you can get anything that you want delivered to you? Exactly. So we'll be doing the draw at the end of the session. And then without further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Gayle to talk a bit more about her role at HootSuite and how it's relevant to our topic today.
Awesome. So mic check. Can you guys hear me okay? Thumbs up? Awesome. So I am a solutions consultant at HootSuite, as was explained. My role is really all about enablement and training. I work with our partners to help them support our shared customers to build out their social media strategies. I also help our internal teams at HootSuite to understand how we work with partners and how their platforms, their technologies might be built into the HootSuite platform. So it's a bit of a blended role. So not only am I working on training our salespeople and training our technical people on how to use the platform and how to integrate strategy and how to support customers, I'm also training our internal teams on partner solutions and the like.
So she does everything we want to talk about today on the day-to-day is what she's telling you.
Awesome.
Okay, so to make sure you're all awake, how many of you are in here run a small business or you're self-employed? Just raise your hand. Okay. Yeah. Raise it proud. All right, so that's like a sense of the audience, right? So can you tell them how the HootSuite platform can help them in the day-to-day and really streamline the way that they use social media? Like for those of you who don't know or haven't used HootSuite before, the platform is a social media platform that is trusted by over 800 of the Fortune 1000 companies. Right. So we're talking a lot of the biggest companies in the world rely on HootSuite to streamline their online presence. So tell us a bit more about how HootSuite can help them do that.
Absolutely. So HootSuite, our platform does essentially four things. And I want to kind of take it back a little bit. When we're supporting clients to build out their social media strategy, we've done focus groups, we've had a number of conversations with our customers, we've done a number of surveys. And when we looked at everything that they were trying to do from a social media perspective, from a business perspective, we were able to narrow it down or bucket all of those things into four key categories, the four key things that they want to do. So everybody wants to build and manage their brand, right? And this is all about how do I build my presence on social? How do I ensure that I'm on the right channels? How do I ensure that my brand is regarded in a respected way? How do I ensure that my personal brand also is reflected in that very professional and trusted manner? So that's building and managing your brand. The next thing that customers want to do, and when I say customers or brands, this could be anyone from the single proprietor or it could be the large enterprise organization. The second thing that they want to do is they want to be able to engage with their audience. They want to be able to spark conversations. They want to be able to identify leads. They want to be able to ensure that they are inserting themselves in conversations that are already happening and inserting themselves as thought leaders. So for the folks in this room, if people are looking for properties and such, how do I insert myself into those conversations and ensure that I'm a trusted member that they will listen to and take advice from, and eventually will they become a lead for me? So that's the second thing. The third thing that businesses want to do on social is they want to, of course, ensure that they're actually driving business results. And so from a large enterprise organization, they might be looking at rich analytics. They might be looking to ensure that this is in a BI tool and that it's in part of a omni-channel strategy from a marketing perspective. As we look at SMBs, they're looking to do the same thing, but the whole thing is about ensuring that we've got analytics that are showing us that our business strategy is actually driving ROI and that it's actually showing us that it's actually helping us to achieve our business goals. And so we support customers with that. And then the fourth thing that businesses want to do, and the fourth thing that we want to do in this room as well, is we want to ensure that we can tell our own story and empower other people to tell our stories as well. So this is about enabling your social ecosystem. So one thing for everyone I know that social is something that some folks are kind of hesitant to get into. They don't want to jump right into it. But here's the thing, if you're not telling your story, someone else will, right? So sometimes it makes sense to just kind of jump right in and make sure that you're doing that in a controlled way. Some ways that you can start doing that in a controlled way is that you start building your presence and you're ensuring that you're empowering other people to tell your story the way that you want it to be told. And so that could be ensuring that you're supporting things like agent-to-agent referrals, customer referrals, making sure that people are telling your brand story in the right way. So those are the 4 key things that businesses want to do. Our platform helps to empower all of that, from a scheduling perspective, from a creating content perspective, and that sort of thing. Yeah.
I think 2 of the points that you mentioned that would be interesting to the crowd here is you mentioned finding the relevant conversations to insert ourselves into. So is that through the use of, say, hashtag tracking, or what are some tools that you would use on the Hootsuite platform to do
Absolutely.
that?
So there are a couple of things that you can do. Hashtag tracking, absolutely. It's a great way to do some initial listening to understand what conversations are happening about any topic of interest that you're looking to insert yourself into. So hashtag, absolutely. You can actually create streams based on hashtags within the platform, and so you can see all of those conversations that are happening across that hashtag.
So for example, if you track a hashtag and it's Toronto real estate and you create a stream in Hootsuite for that, let's say it's for the Twitter platform, then all the tweets that are tagged with Toronto real estate, you'll be able to see in that stream, meaning if you see something where you feel like, hey, I can add to that conversation, that's where Absolutely. It means like inserting yourself into that conversation in a more organic and relevant way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then other things that we can do within the platform is we actually integrate with other tool sets as well. So if you're looking to, let's say, ensure that, or if in fact you're looking for interesting things to say, and so you might want to kind of build out your content strategy. How about if you just don't know quite what to say at the moment? We can integrate into tools like Write Relevance or Vesterly. And these tools are going to surface articles, they're going to surface information that's trending, and then you can use that to essentially build out your content strategy. You can use that to start conversations and tie back to articles and blogs and so on that are interesting to potentially your audience.
That's actually super useful, because let's say as you're trying to build your social media content, a lot of times the biggest headache is there's nothing to talk about, or you just can't keep up with all the content generation needs for your business. So having an integrated tool like that, it just means they will help you find all the real estate articles that are relevant, and you choose which ones to repost. Right? That makes it so much easier.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
And how about, you also mentioned analytics. So of course, like this group here, we're all about the numbers, right? So what kind of analytics can they see on Hootsuite that will help them figure out if what they're doing is working?
So you'll see things like audience growth. You'll see things like, and in fact, when you start getting into the paid arena, you might see things like, what's my cost per click? And it will be measuring all of that for you. But here's the cool thing. It's bringing all of the metrics from all of those various social media channels into a single pane of glass. You can create a report of all of your key metrics, all of the key things that you want to be able to track. I want to ensure that my audience is growing. I want to ensure that people are actually interacting with my content, that they're sharing it, that they're commenting on it. I want to see all of that in a cohesive report. I can do that in Hootsuite. And then not only can I have that report available in Hootsuite, I can have it continuously refreshed for me and send me an email of that report on a regular basis. But being able to construct a report that will give you all of the analytics to actually show you the ROI of your strategy and what's working and what's not working, which channels are actually providing more leads for me. Am I getting more leads on Facebook as opposed to Twitter? Where do I need to adjust? That's going to be all brought to you and be available to you in the platform.
So you mentioned a few platforms there. Can you tell us which platforms Hootsuite integrates with, like different social media platforms?
Okay, absolutely. So we integrate with Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. All of those major channels in fact, the North American industry. We do have partnerships where we have integrations with WeChat. That's through partnership. And a lot of our business organizations, a lot of our business customers are looking into that. We're looking to build out deeper partnerships with some of those market-specific or what's the word I'm looking for? Like location-specific brands. Yeah. So it's a very robust platform. We cover all of the major ones. And we're constantly looking and exploring, does it make sense for us to actually build integrations with other platforms that are gaining leverage. And,
Yeah, like for example, there's Line
Yeah.
in Taiwan and Japan, right? So I'm sure you guys have some sort of a bridge there through some of the partnerships that you have.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. And it's a global organization, so we need to stay on top of that. So there's also VK and other platforms in other regions. Yeah.
Okay, now the million-dollar question. When you start up your social media presence, you would likely ask, which platforms do I need to be on? Or sometimes, a lot of times we get clients coming in thinking they need to be on every social media platform. So tell us a bit about how you would consult for your clients or even train your team on how to put together a strategy and which platforms to choose for what type of need.
Okay, so there are a couple of schools of thoughts on this. So like you said, that there are some that will say that, to a business, a sales consultant or whoever it is, you need to be on every platform. They'll say that you've got to be on all of them to make sure that you're not missing out on everything. And so you have to dedicate the time, blood, sweat, and tears into everything. And then there's the other school of thought that says, you know what, pick one platform or pick two platforms that you're going to prioritize and you're going to spend all of your time there. And that's where you're going to dedicate yourself and direct all of your traffic to and ensure that you're building engagement on. I tend to kind of steer kind of in between when I'm speaking to my clients. I definitely think that it's necessary to understand where your customers are and then prioritize those platforms, right? So where your customers are, prioritize those platforms, ensure that you're engaging. So if it's let's say Facebook and Instagram, you're going to put all of your dedication to those particular platforms. That's where you're going to have the core of your strategy. But you can have a low touch presence on those other channels as well. So from a low touch perspective, what you're essentially doing is that you're checking in on those platforms, you're seeing what's happening there, you're observing, and when there is interaction there, you redirect to the channels that you're going to be heavily focused on, where you're going to be heavily placed on. So there's that exploratory sort of ensure that you are paying attention to some of these other peripheral platforms, but definitely have a few that you're going to be dedicating your time to and you're going to be able to build your strategy on. And then always redirect from those low-touch platforms, redirect to the main ones that you're going to be working in.
Yeah. So I think something that other people would be curious about as well, and I myself am very curious about, is what demographics will I find on each of these platforms? Like the demographic on Facebook, they act very differently than what I would find on, say, Twitter. So what's the behavior on there? Can you explain a bit on those core platforms?
So we can let's start with Facebook. So Facebook is a really great place for businesses to engage when they're looking to build their brand, of course. We hear that the demographic that's on Facebook is an older demographic. We hear that all the time. And we also hear that the younger demographic they want nothing to do with Facebook. What we found is that Facebook is actually still the largest social media platform. They still are growing, and they're having individuals of all ages actually joining that platform. Facebook, from the perspective of the content that we're building on there, it's very much about delivering value. It's very much about showcasing what the business is doing to better their community or better things for their customers. It's a very great opportunity for businesses to humanize their brands. And so that's what we're seeing from a Facebook perspective. So a lot of the myths about no one engaging on Facebook anymore have been dispelled through the kind of analytics that we've been able to do. And we have a huge report on this, a 200-page report that goes through.
Where is this 200-page report?
I'll make sure that you have access to it. But it goes through the actual demographics and usage of social media across almost every country in the world. And I think it's almost every country. I'm from a little island called Dominica. There's a dedicated page on that, social media, how that's being used in Dominica, what the demographics are. So across the entire world, that's why it's 200 pages that we go through all the countries. But what we're learning is that Facebook is still the primary channel that people are using to engage and to have those community conversations. So great opportunities for businesses to engage there. From an Instagram perspective, the demographic there is I'd say there's a very high presence of the millennial and also the Gen X demographic on Instagram. Instagram is where you're going to find that highly curated content. You're going to put beautiful photos on there. You're going to ensure that your content is really taken care of and that it's visually appealing. With Instagram, you're looking to really stop the scroll. You want to catch their attention. And so businesses are using that to not only really position the brand, but they're using a little bit of that human element in there as well. There's a necessity for that, I think, across all of the channels. But when you're thinking about the content for Facebook, Facebook might be slightly more relaxed and slightly more focused on what the business or what a brand is doing to better the community. You'll see ads on there, absolutely. Instagram is going to be a little bit more polished. It's a more polished look, but you can have fun in terms of the commentary that you're putting in there. Twitter. So Twitter is really great for those short, punchy posts, right? So you might include a video in there, you might include an image in there, but ideally you have a very short number of characters to be able to take advantage of. You want to be punchy, you want to be able to very quickly get some messaging and some value across. Oh, that's another thing, Facebook is all about value. So you want to get some value across in a very short form manner on Twitter. It's a great place to foster conversation and to redirect that back to your website so you can get potential leads and that sort of a thing. So Twitter, it's all about getting that short messaging out there, joining conversations, look for those hashtags and look for areas where you can insert yourself into the conversation. But it's a conversational platform. And then
is there any use for, say, YouTube for real estate marketing?
Yeah, so YouTube, I'm seeing a lot of this where we're seeing short video clips of a home that maybe is up for sale and things like that. So we're seeing a lot of that. It's a really great way to get that video is huge. So it's a really great way to get that appeal. There's a lot more direct appeal with video. And so YouTube's a great channel for that. But it's also, again, a really great way to start building out that human element also. So there's absolutely opportunity for YouTube. And video is king. We're finding across all platforms. So definitely
across
the area
Facebook, Instagram, a lot of the content is now rich media. Right? It's just, again, it's stopping the scroll, right? So will a video stop a scroll or will a static photo stop a scroll, right? So we are seeing a lot more video as well. So let's say they have decided on, let's say, 2 platforms. Then how do you help a client decide what elements go into the actual content? So for example, that means, do I just do organic strategy? Do I do paid? Do I do influencer marketing? Do I do live streams? Like all those questions of what types of elements do I insert into a channel? Awesome.
So we do quite a bit of work in supporting our clients to build out their social media strategy. And certainly we have, in fact, we've written a guide on this that can be used by anyone from the individual proprietor all the way up to the larger enterprise, and we support customers this way. But there are really 8 key things that you would want to ensure that you're including in your strategy. So the first thing that you're going to want to do from a strategy perspective is that you want to be able to identify your goals. So understand what you're actually trying to achieve from social media. What's the ROI that you want to have driven to you? So we'll support our customers to try to figure this out. But this is where you're going to spend a lot of time, identify what your goals are. The second thing that we do to support that building of that strategy is that we will focus on learning about your customers. Learn about your customers, learn about where they are, learn about how they're engaging, what platforms do your customers actually prefer, what content are your customers engaging with. So you spend a lot of time trying to really understand your customers. Next, you're going to want to learn about your competitors. You want to be able to keep an eye on them, see what's working for them. What tactics are they including in their strategy that you can very easily insert in yours if you see that it's working? What's not working for them? Maybe you want to stay away from those tactics. But understand your competitors, understand how their customers are engaging with them. That's the next thing that you want to do. And then once you're done doing that, then the next thing is you want to do an audit. So this is pretty important. You want to do an audit of your your online presence. So Google yourselves.
I do that regularly.
Amazing. I know some people say, no, that's not good, but Google yourselves. Try to get an understanding as to what your online presence is. If you are on various social media channels, some of them that you're spending a lot of time on, some of them where you create an account and you kind of just let it, you let it kind of just sit. I don't know, sit. Yeah, sit. I was going to say die, but yeah, sit is a better word.
Sit is a better word.
Take account of those and see what's happening on them. Are you getting engagement on them? Do some of those need to be shut down? Do you need to emphasize some other ones? So make sure that you're doing the audit of your accounts. And then next, make sure that you're setting up your accounts appropriately. Make sure that your profiles are clean and they are reflecting the business presence that you want it to present. So do you need to revisit LinkedIn? Do you need to revisit your Facebook page? Your Facebook page, in fact, any organic work that you're doing, that's what people are going to see when they click on your page. They're going to see your organic stuff. And so make sure that your profile is appropriate. Make sure that if you've got content that you've created, that it's something that's going to be professional and it's going to resonate with the audience. Now, do you want me to go into the other four, or do you
guys want her to go into the other four?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we were doing an audit. So I think there's another three. So you do an audit of your social profiles. So once you've done your audit, you want to look for inspiration. Okay. So inspiration is all about, this is right before you're building out your content. It's again looking at what's out there, looking at what key trends that are happening in the marketplace. If you have some value that you can bring. So for instance, I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. The coronavirus, lots of talk about that, right? So this person is in financial services and they said, you know what? I have a lot of intel about how this is affecting the business markets.
Yeah.
I can include some of that in my content to give people some understanding as to what the financial markets are saying based on, this potential scare.
Yeah.
So this is adding value, and this is going to inspire people to read that because it's such a trending topic right now. But you can look to what's happening in the world, look to what the trends are happening, and then try to tie the conversation to that, right? So inspiration. Next, of course, is creating the content, doing that in a very organized manner, scheduling it ahead of time. And then finally, you're going to watch your strategy actually take place, and you want to be able to evaluate the results. You want to be able to test what's working and what's not working, and then you're going to want to adjust. So those are the 8 key things that we would essentially support our clients to be able to do in building out their strategy. Those are the key ways to do that. Now, there is a guide. I'll make sure that you have access to that. That goes into way more detail about it.
And I'll make sure you all have access to that.
Absolutely, but it goes into way more detail. And again, these are the key things that we support, whether we're working with the individual proprietor or whether we're working with a very large enterprise.
Yeah. So now that we've talked about, finding out which platforms we want to be on, the 8 different things we want to do, and thinking about elements to include in a digital strategy for a channel, tell me about if you had a business and you had a set amount of advertising dollars, which platform would you invest it into and why?
So there are actually, this is an interesting one. So we still see, based on all of the studies that we've done and based on all of the analytics that we've pulled, we still see Facebook as being a primary channel for having your ad strategy deployed. They have the greatest real estate as it relates to where your ads can be placed. They've got the lowest cost per click rate across all of those other channels. We know that they have the largest number of monthly active users on that platform. And then as well, you also have the capability to do some really tight targeting. So when you're looking to target a specific customer base.
You could target newlyweds. You could target newlyweds with a child that's under 5 months old. I found that quite amazing when I was just going through the demographics.
Right. So, and that's huge. When we want to be in front of the right audience, right?
Yeah.
Facebook is definitely going to give you the greatest bang for your buck as far as being able to do that, based on their targeting capabilities, based on the property that they have, where you can actually place your ad and that sort of a thing.
Yeah.
And then the other thing with that is that Facebook, now owning Instagram, we can now have some direct, you create your ad on Facebook, and you can automatically have that being placed on Instagram as well. So that increases the properties where you can actually place your ad.
So Facebook as the main advertising platform, and then the ability to also place the same ads on Instagram. So it's a 2-in-1 actually.
It's a 2-in-1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess just being conscious of time, the last question would actually be around between LinkedIn and Instagram. LinkedIn has always been known to be more of a B2B platform, kind of where professionals go and build their resume, right? You're establishing your thought leadership there, but are you also seeing more businesses or even realtors start establishing a presence on Instagram because it's gotten to be such a big platform, and is it an effective channel for that purpose?
Well, yes. So we're seeing a lot of B2B engagement on Instagram. We're seeing Instagram growing very quickly from that perspective. LinkedIn we have to remember, LinkedIn, the majority of the people that are on there are often they're job seekers, or they're setting up their profiles. We might have some social selling engagement on there. From a conversion perspective, LinkedIn is actually really good, but it's super expensive.
Yes.
Right? Very, very expensive to engage there. From an Instagram perspective, we're seeing the audience of Instagram increase so much, and that the channel is actually changing as far as being that very visual channel where we show our favorite pictures and such, so we can actually start monetizing this. I'm seeing a lot of real estate professionals using Instagram to showcase their properties, to be able to give tips on how to stage properties for faster selling. They're delivering a lot of value, and because it's such a visual platform, it's eye-catching. People want to stop and they want to check that out. So it's a really great platform for that. We've got the ads capabilities there, and then we also have it blended in with a very human element. So alongside the pictures of the properties, it's really the profiles that we see performing the best are the ones who will also have a picture of them walking their dog in front of a property, or showcasing an image of them with their family. So it's a really great way to blend the highly curated, very beautiful business element to the human element, which builds trust and which catches attention, which is, and having video on there, it's huge. So Instagram, definitely a great channel.
Yeah, so it's almost like LinkedIn is a bit too formal, and Instagram, like you said, adds that human element. Yes. So let's say you post a static post of a property that you have a listing for, you can then also use, say, IG stories and actually take them through the property in that engaging way. And let's say you've invested in a walkthrough, like a tour of that property, right? Then you can also take them, post that onto IGTV as well. Exactly. So there's like a variety of different ways you could engage and showcase your properties through Instagram, actually.
Yeah.
That's more engaging and rich media, right?
Absolutely. And a little bit more cost, well, it's cheaper than LinkedIn.
Yeah, like when you mentioned that LinkedIn is expensive, like I've seen where it's cost per 1,000, like the way we refer to cost per 1,000 to reach 1,000 people on LinkedIn.
Right.
I've seen numbers that are as high as like $40 to $60 if you're trying to target a specific group of people. So compare that to Facebook, like what would be a CPM on Facebook? So CPM cost per 1,000 people reach.
We don't quite speak to it that way, but we will say that you can build out a campaign. A campaign for as little as $5 to $10.
Yes,
right.
You can.
So I mean, that's
so cost effective.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So definitely, if you're wanting to test out social media advertising, Facebook and Instagram would be a great way to test it. And you usually see results in like a few days to tell you what's working or not working, which is great, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So thank you so much, Gayle, for all your time. And I want to hand it over to Q&A, right? So I think we have a runner with the mic. So if anyone has any burning questions that you want to ask, now is the time, or else Gayle's going to run out of here and leave. So we got one at the two in the front here.
Yeah. I think I saw this hand go up first, so.
Okay.
We'll go on.
Okay, right here.
Okay, I used HootSuite several years ago, and I stopped using it for some reason. When you do hashtag, what's the difference in going through HootSuite and the individual platforms?
So there's more tracking ability that you would have through the reporting in HootSuite. So the way that HootSuite works is that you're going to have that stream of we'll talk about it in a couple of ways. So you're going to have the stream of content that's specific to that hashtag, so it's all there for you. And you can have that sitting right alongside your Twitter feed or whatever it is, whatever other streams you create. So just having everything in a single pane of glass for you, whereas when you're on the native channel, you're kind of jumping around to try to figure that out. We're going to put it right there up front. And it's going to refresh in near real time, so you're going to see everything that's happening across that hashtag.
So let's say he's trying to track Toronto real estate across Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, right? So you get all of that in one panel versus like, let me just switch between like 3 different apps, right?
Right, and you just see it all there, and you can just scroll through. You continuously scroll through and see that content. It's going to refresh for you. I think it's every 12 seconds.
Yeah.
So you're not missing out on any of those conversations. In some parts of Hootsuite, if you're starting to see people that are using words that show buying signals, so they're using keywords, you can actually have that flagged. So it will give you essentially an alert. So if people are saying things like love, I really love this property, I really love this, or they're using those keywords, you can set up rules on the back end to alert you when that's happening. So you're not missing out on those key conversations. And then of course, when you're creating content, you can actually include those hashtags in there, and there's some tracking ability from the reporting perspective.
So get back on Hootsuite. There was another question up front
right
here. Yeah.
So, quick question. So for promote one specific the project like King's Landing, so you will recommend Facebook ads or Google ads. So what's the difference, and what's your recommendation?
So Facebook, I think Google Ads is very good as well, right? So Google Ads is going to directly ensure that people are you're directing traffic in the right way. Facebook Ads, I just feel like it's still the most cost-effective option, and that it's a really great way to ensure that you're getting in front, you're targeting your audience. Do you have any other thoughts on that?
Yes. So the way I usually think about it for our clients when they ask us about real estate marketing on Facebook or Google, there is that cost perspective, right? Like, so Facebook, you can get a lead for probably under $10, right? Versus for Google ads, you would probably get a lead for, let's say it's double that, right? So usually that's kind of like the cost effectiveness that we see. But the other side of it is also the quality of that lead, right? Because Facebook makes it so easy. You're clicking a lead gen form and then you're like, bam, okay, done, right? So sometimes people don't really think about what did I really just sign up for? And when you contact them, they're like, oh, I totally forgot about this. Because on Facebook, your frame of mind is you're there to see updates from your friends or your friend's dog or your friend who's married and they have new babies. My feed is full of babies right now, right? So people go there for that type of news versus when you're in Google, you're actually typing in a keyword that says real estate in Toronto, and then you find that relevant ad. So the intention is higher on Google, even though the cost per lead, that dollar cost is more. So I would say Facebook, Instagram was great just to get awareness out. You can still get some leads in, but the quality may not be as high with an intention to buy as what you would get from Google ads. Yeah.
Awesome.
Any other questions in the back there? I'm gonna have permanently like these two bright lights in my eye.
I can't remember, but is it possible to, I used to be with HootSuite as well, and then I stopped for whatever reason, but is it possible to upload video on HootSuite and let that go on Instagram and Facebook, or is it only pictures still? 'Cause last time I'm pretty sure it was only pictures.
Okay, you can actually include videos
Video now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Is there a certain like duration?
Yeah,
length
is there a
that-
duration?
So yeah, we haven't outlined the very specific details for the videos because some of the channels even have different requirements.
Yes.
So we have that outlined in the platform, and it will actually alert you in the platform as you're uploading it whether it's going to fit or not. So it's I'm sorry, I'm not looking in the right place. There we go. But it's going to outline for you all of the video requirements that are necessary for each of the networks you want to post to.
Okay.
And then you even have an area in there in the content library where you can have those videos stored. So if you want to maybe use a video again, you keep it in your content library and then you can utilize that multiple times. So.
One more thing, and are you allowed to like white label Hootsuite from, so for example, so if you post on Hootsuite onto Facebook, it will actually say posted by Hootsuite?
I don't believe it says.
Definitely does.
It says posted by Hootsuite. Sorry,
Yeah, so-
It
Sorry,
would
say that
say
again?
like via Hootsuite
Yeah,
on
so
Facebook.
is there a way that you can like white label
Okay.
that? Or
Yeah,
is-
it just
Yeah.
says a post came from the Hootsuite
Right. So
scheduling
that's
platform.
that's kind of
Okay.
requirement. So yeah.
Any other questions?
You mentioned uploading videos. What about links to a video?
Adding links.
Like, does it, can you post a link to a video and still pop up?
Oh, so to redirect, let's say to another, to like, let's say YouTube or something like
YouTube.
that? Yeah, you would be able to include a link in the post.
Yeah.
The one thing that I would mention is that the images, your link will be part of the actual post text and not the actual image or video. Like clicking on that won't
Yeah.
redirect you. It's going to be in the post text. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? because I have one. Okay, so we talked briefly about uploading videos, and that actually sparked a question in my mind. So I talk a lot with my clients about now optimizing their video content for social media, which means it's no longer horizontal. So what are your thoughts on that?
I'd agree with that. I would agree with that based on the placement and how it looks. You want to make sure that it's going to actually take up as much real estate from the
Mobile perspective.
Mobile,
right?
exactly.
Yeah.
We're in the mobile. We're not moving there anymore. We're in the mobile world, right? And so we want to make sure that it's optimized that way,
Yeah.
and centered appropriately. So I would agree completely.
So
with
that's
that.
portrait style video. So start taking your videos in portrait for your walkthrough tours. Or if it's not portrait, make it a square. Square is also great, just not horizontal, right?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. So thank you.
One more question, perhaps?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Isaac has all the questions. He's also the host, right?
The question is, from as an individual, with content that we have that would sometimes relate to professional content, work content, and then there's also the individual content, right? And so you briefly touched on before about perhaps keeping it separate. So is it a good idea to then have separate personal accounts as opposed to work accounts, so that your spring break with kids pictures could be separated from your showings and property tour content?
It depends. It depends. So I do have a position on this. I'd love to hear yours also. It depends. So for instance, at HootSuite, a number of us have Hoot profiles. So Hoot Gayle, right? So it's separate from my personal profile. But if I'm looking to have a business and I'm looking to ensure that there's a human element to it, I could either keep everything together, right? Showcasing a little bit of who I am alongside what I do from a profession perspective, because I'm looking at myself as that holistic being. I can do that. Or if I'm just uncomfortable with that, if I just want to keep it separate, I can move and keep it separate. So the way that I see it is it really depends on the person. It depends on the type of brand that you're looking to build. Are you all encompassing and part of that? And is that what you want to showcase? Or do you need to separate personal and private? So we tend to really dig in to find out what's most important to our clients as we're building that out. I would love to know your perspective, because we get this all the time.
Yeah, well,
also.
I totally agree in that your profile should be authentic, right? So if you are a crazy workaholic and all you do is work, by all means, have the super formal profile everywhere, right? But if you do enjoy, if you do spend time hiking, if you're, let's say, out by the water and you sell waterfront properties, that makes sense, right? So it really should, the profile should just really show who you are, because that will attract the right clients to you, because they're looking to deal with a person like that, right? So I think, like you said, tailor it to who you are, and that will be the most authentic way. And being authentic on social media is the most important, because it actually helps you sell better in the long run.
Right. So now we've done some studies on this, and we've found that the brands that are incorporating that human element actually perform more. They perform better than the ones that are very kind of static. But sometimes the brand or the individual, based on whatever reason, their internal, who they are, they just need to keep it separate. And so if that's the way you have to go, then sure.
Awesome. So do we have time for one more question? I see one hand. We're right at 12 o'clock. So
Awesome.
Is there a magic number of how many posts you should put on to social media, weekly?
I knew this was coming.
So I don't know that there's a magical number, but there's a necessity for consistency, is what it is. There's a necessity to be consistent with it. So instead of thinking of the magic number, instead think of planning my content and ensuring that on this particular day, I'm going to be planning out all of my content and scheduling it for the week. And then you test and you analyze and you see what works. You'll be able to gauge if you need to put out more or not. But the biggest challenge that our clients have is that they're not baking this into their practice, into their everyday practice, which is more important than just saying that, I need to make 10 posts per day or whatever it is, right? Make sure that you're actually building it into your practice first, and then test and analyze and evaluate and then adjust. That's the way that we typically coach our clients.
Yeah. So I did it in a more scrappy way because I don't have magical research. But for example, we did a fun study actually for BC liquor stores out in BC, and we looked at all of their competitors. So one of the best practices that you mentioned, right? Look at what your competitors are doing. So we analyzed a variety of different alcohol brands. And what we saw was the ones that posted like 8 times a week versus the ones that posted 3 times a week. We saw that the ones that posted 3 times per week actually had consistent performance, like the same level of performance and engagement as somebody posting 6 to 8 times a week. So if you really want that magic number, say on Instagram, about 3 times per week on your static feed is what we would recommend, because we didn't see a leap between the 3 to 8 posts, right? If you do 3 posts versus if you do 8 posts, the engagement level is about the same. Followership and the growth of the followership was about the same. And that's kind of what we saw from that just more on the ground kind of study, doing an audit of all these different brands. Like really just, it depends on industry, right? So if you're looking at your realtor, look at all your closest competitors. What are the other realtors doing? How frequently are they posting? Are they getting likes and shares on different types of content? So I think it really goes into looking inside your own niche, looking at what your closest competitors are doing, what's working, and then, of course, crushing them, right? Yes, I'm competitive if you can't tell. So I think that's a wrap on the session. I want to thank Gayle for spending the time here. Very informative session. Can we get a big round of applause?